me feel good.
So welcome to stage 23, and this week we will be I'm losing the pages, the rear chassis and fender liners. So the parts list is 23A, the rear chassis, and this is a big metal piece. Piece B and C are, again, they're plastic. They are left rear fender liner and right rear fender liner. Piece D, which is plastic, is the shock absorber bracket, and then you have 23E, you have two shock absorbers, and these are plastic. And then that leaves us with 5 sets of screws. We have CM, which is 2.3 by 4 millimeters, DM, which is 2 by 5 millimeters, LM 2 by 3 by 5 millimeters. Now they're metal screws, and then the last two are plastic screws, AP 1.7 by 5 millimeters and JP 2.3 by 5 millimeters. So stage 1. Locate the first shock absorber, 23E, and align the screw hole at the end of the screw hole in the middle of the shock absorber bracket, 23D, fixing with one AP screw, then affix the remaining shock absorber with one more AP screw. So this is part 23D, the shock absorber bracket, and 2 shock absorbers, and I've got some screws lined up ready. So let's switch to this view, and I think I'll just need to change my focus a little bit to about there. Let's see, should we go there? Sorry, I do apologise, guys. There we go. So what we're going to do, we need to you see you've got 2 sets of holes, 2 going on this side and 2 on the top there. We need to be dealing with the inside one. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Now this looks exactly the same either side, and all we need to do is just fix them both in like that and one like that. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually going to put my screw through the shock absorber. Now I notice these have got an angle to them, and they do actually want to be angled away from the flat piece, you see, like that. So this will actually be the wrong way because it's actually going towards it. So keep it that way. So what we'll do is we will pop our screw, in fact let's just deal with one shock absorber. So we'll pop our screw into the shock absorber, and then we can bring that to the piece that we want to screw it to. And this is still tricky. Doesn't matter what angle you come in from. In fact, it might even be easy if we pop it on the table. Use the table for support. There we go, and that's gone in fine. So that's just in quite loose, and then I'll just finish that off. Now it doesn't specify any angles, so I'm going to put it roughly that way. I'm pretty sure that when it comes down to it we can work out the angle, but also we will have a slight bit of movement in there anyway, but we don't want to move this too much because each time we move it, it will just loosen that screw. So same with this one. And I would say that's stage 1, step 1 complete. Let me move that out of the way. So there we go, guys. So step 2, take the shock absorber bracket 23D with attached shock absorbers and push it into place on the rear chassis 23A. So the 2 screw pegs and a small pin are inserted into the chassis figure A. Secure from underneath with 2 JP screws. So what we have is we have this large piece here and we have a raised pattern there. If we turn it over, you can see it's actually in recessed, and the holes that we're looking for are here. Now on the underside we have a raised screw hole there and there. If you remember, the holes are there but they're raised on the bottom, and there's a little locating peg just there, and that will go across there, and you know that's correct because you can see the hole there, and that will just go into there like so, and yes, that fits in perfectly. So all we've got to do now is screw, and I would suggest I'm going to move these out of the way because that's going to be quite difficult, and they need to be secured with 2 JP screws, which I've not got ready. So they're in now. So let's move to step 3, and we need to take the left rear fender line 23B and place it on the rear chassis 23A, fastening with 3 DM screws. Then affix the right rear fender on the other side of the rear chassis with 3 more DM screws. So let's get our screws and parts ready. And I've double checked, we are going to be screwing in from the side. I can't do this, you know. There we go. Normally you just twist these bags and they come out fine. So these are the 2 parts that we're going to be fixing, and we need to be fixing at the rear, which is this bit here, because this bit has some detail at the front, and we need to measure up so that we've got these tabs on the inside, so that should tell us which way which. I would suggest that's wrong, so I've still got to find out. Let's do this one first. And that's not as easy as it looks. Because I've got it upside down. So notice how I just moved those down. That's just to protect that. So there we go. So we have 3 recessed holes here, and we have 3 raised holes there. That one's going to go in like that, and obviously the other one will go on the other side. So yeah, let's get these screwed in. So there we go, guys, that's that stage done. So to complete the final stage, I need to get the piece that I assembled in the previous stage, and I also need to bring in the actual the whole chassis, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so step 4, the final step of this stage, is place the rear chassis 23A so the 6 screw holes at the end overlap the end of the middle chassis. Fix these 2 parts together using 6 LM screws. Turn the car over and place the rear chassis frame on the underside of the rear chassis. Fasten the 2 parts together using 10 CM screws. So CM screws at the ready, which I'm just going to pop straight onto my magnetic mat, and then I'll make sure my screwdriver fits. You may have noticed a couple of times I've switched heads, but I've realised I've got the wrong one. Now I do have a concern, and that's the amount of flipping over we're doing. This is going to go in there, and there's no show. There is. Right, it does lock in place. Now the problem I've got is that with all this flipping over, we're starting to get some delicate parts. If you're careful, it shouldn't be a problem. However, it is still a concern. So let me just get these 6. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes. So let me just get these screwed in. Okay, something that I found quite interesting is these 4 went in till they're really tight, and as a result this back piece is really solid. These 2 end pieces, I don't know if the channel has been cut slightly differently, but the screws will go in, but there is no stop point on them, and you'll just screw. I mean, the screws aren't going to fall out, so I'm actually not going to do anything about that. But it's in with 4 screws, and I can see from the next stage that as we've been doing in earlier stages, we're bolting it from one side and the other, so it's kind of getting held together like that. So I'm going to turn this over. I'm actually going to turn it on its side. That's going to alleviate many of my concerns, and then we're going to place the next piece on. So let's switch cameras. So the next piece is this one, and make sure you get it the wrong way. I did a dry fit and I wondered why it wouldn't go on, and it turns out I'd put it in the wrong place. So I think these shock absorbers are going to come through it, so we just need to pull these out and we can place that on there. Now, some of you may remember I had a concern about these wires here being possibly too long and what to do with them. As it turns out, I was worrying over nothing, because as you can see, they will be covered up. However, you do need to be aware that you don't want to trap those wires, so make sure they do run through the middle. So we're going to secure this from the other side. Let me just pop this. There's plenty of locating pegs and they're really, really good, but this one, you've got a locating peg on the end. You've got 2 recessed holes there and 2 pegs on this one. I seem to be having a small problem with that one. And I think it's just the hole. So what I'm going to do, they all need to be screwed in from the other side, and that's going to be a problem for me. So what I'll do is I'll start with the middle. Let's move these back up. Can you now see I have a problem? I now can't turn that on its bottom because I'm going to now snap these. I can't turn it onto its top because of the steering column, so all I can really do is keep turning it on its side. And as far as camera angles are concerned, this is a terrible place. So I'm going to screw the first 2 holes in here and here, and I really cannot get a good camera angle for you guys. I'm really sorry, it's just got to that size now. We're manoeuvring it round. So yeah, like I say, the problem I have are these 2 holes at the end. So I might just have to switch to what I call Dizzy Cam, and this is another camera that I can use just to manipulate. Unfortunately the lighting's not so good, so I'm going to screw in there, but the problem I'm having is there. You've got 2 pegs here. Let me move this. Sorry about the dizziness. You see that peg there isn't going in. Whether that's because of paint, whether I've got the part wrong, but I think it's actually paint or the hole's not big enough. So I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little needle file, and I think I'll just make that hole slightly bigger. Okay, so I've had another good look at it, and I can see actually that it's meant to be like that. You can't see from this angle, but that peg there, it's not meant to go all the way in. That's why it doesn't fit, which is fine. That just means I can crack on with screwing it in. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to screw this corner, then I'm going to go down to this corner, and then I'll work my way around until I've got all the screws in. Once I've got 2 screws in, I don't need to worry so much about the piece falling off. Right, so there we go, guys. Sorry, I've knocked the camera a couple of times. Now, this is now stage complete. However, I'm a little bit scared of it. Oh, actually, it's not so bad. I can actually push these. This is where I'm worried now. Let me move the light up. So we have these 2 shock absorbers, and as you can see, I can't place the piece upside down because I'm scared of this engine and the steering. I now can't place it the right way up, although I have now discovered that this, can you see that this does actually stick out? So I have no choice but to put that down like that. So obviously if you were building 4 issues at a time, it may well be that the next, I haven't actually looked, but it might well be. No, I don't think we're actually going to be building the bottom at the back up anymore, this pack. So it's a little bit of a worry for me. However, I personally can always pop it on a box. That would make me feel a lot more comfortable. See, I've just got some storage boxes there, and that's how I would like to store it. So let me just move my dizzy cam around, which I actually won't reach. So what I've done is, you see, I've got a couple of boxes there, and then I don't have to worry about the height then. So yeah, there you go. I've had to move cameras around so much that you've seen my little messy pile as well as my work pile, but I like to think mad genius. So guys, so that's it for this episode, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope to see you next week.